Well, here at the festival, a very fascinating afternoon with incredible journeys exploring the wonders of animal navigation with David Barry. David, great company here and lots of people in the audience wanting to ask questions. It is a vast subject, isn't it?
It's a complicated subject. It's a fascinating subject. I think it's almost as much fun for the mysteries as it is for the scientific discoveries. So the book really is a mixture of the two. And what I've tried to do, and what I tried to do this afternoon, was just to kind of give people a sense of the extraordinary range, wonderful range of skills that different animals, including human beings, deploy to navigate their worlds. And I think one of the key points I wanted to get across is that there are so many different navigational mechanisms in use. Extraordinary.
Not only feats, but also, as you say, different organisms from tiny, really, relatively speaking. And, one of your favourite ones, I think it was the desert ant.
The desert ant is certainly one of my favourites, and it's also one of the most exhaustively studied animal navigators of all. There's a wonderful German scientist, I didn't mention him in my talk, but he's called Rüdiger Wehner, and he has spent his entire adult life, he's now retired, but 40, 50 years just studying the navigational mechanisms of the desert ant. And he's an amazing man, lovely guy, and he has discovered a whole host of different mechanisms, from the time-compensated sun compass, landmark navigation, magnetic navigation, olfactory navigation, all these different things that this tiny insect can do, most of which are quite beyond us without the help of instruments and maps.
And the dung beetle as well, which uses celestial navigation.
Yes, well, lots of insects use celestial navigation. The dung beetle is a bit of a surprise because it uses two different celestial bodies. One is the moon, so it can use the polarized light reflected from the surface of the moon to set a straight course, but it also can orient using the light of the Milky Way. And it was the first animal of any kind, other than human beings, that was known to do this. But it now turns out that there's also a migratory moth in Australia with the wonderful name of the bogong moth, which not only has a magnetic compass, but also uses the Milky Way to calibrate that magnetic compass.
So, in a way, us humans on the planet, supposedly at the end of the food chain, aren't that good. We've got a sort of natural ability, an innate ability to navigate, although that's being eroded, I think you'd say, by GPS and our telephones in our pockets. But we are quite a long way behind compared to insects and tiny animals.
We certainly don't have the innate capabilities of some of these animals. So we don't have, for example, the ability to see polarized light patterns in the sky. We don't. Well, we may, but there's very mixed evidence that we can detect the Earth's magnetic field. I mean, it doesn't seem that that's something that we can do. On the other hand, we are very clever. And certain indigenous peoples, like Aboriginal tribespeople in Australia, the Inuit in the Arctic and northern Canada, Pacific Islanders, have developed amazingly effective navigational suites, if you like. I mean, toolkits that enable them to navigate over huge distances with great precision without any tools at all, without compasses, without maps, just using their senses and their native wit. And they are very, very impressive. And we're probably all capable of such things. It's just that most people have long since turned their back on that kind of navigation, which I think is a bit sad.
There's an incredible list of different animals, whales, turtles, dragonflies, and obviously seabirds that go thousands of kilometres. But as you say, butterflies as well, which do thousands of kilometres. It's an inordinate amount of wealth of interest and material here.
Well, I think it's absolutely astonishing, and the book could have been 3 times as thick. Probably just as well it isn't. So it's the book, Incredible Journeys. It's like an overview of the field. And there's quite a lot of history in it because it looks back to some of the early investigators that go back to the 19th and even the 18th centuries. But mostly it's concentrating on the latest research and what we now know about the capabilities of some of these animals. And of course, as I said, it also acknowledges the huge gaps in our knowledge. I mean, how do humpback whales set a straight course across thousands of miles of open ocean? We don't know. It would be lovely to find out. Maybe one day we will.
We look forward to it. Well, here's the book. David Barry, Incredible Journeys, exploring the wonders of animal navigation. I'm sure there's going to be a next volume, isn't there?
Well, I hope there may be. Thank you very much.